Hey guys, how y'all doing? I thought I'd make part four of The Moon in the Dark before I head off and start my busy day working. Anyways, we're on part four, right? And we're basically in the 2010s right now. I think when I left y'all off in part three, I had got basically the beginning of the 2010s. So I'm gonna start into like 2011, right? Okay, so by 2011, summer of 2011, actually, me and the group of people that I was mainly hanging around with, because like I said, at this time, I'm partying more, my drugs are, it's getting out of control, I'm doing bad in school. By the summer of 2011, I was doing spice, synthetic marijuana. And this was when you could like go in the store and buy it. And that is the only thing that I have ever blacked out on. Twice it happened. The first time it happened was a night that I was mixing pills with alcohol and I did spice that day. And I remember we were walking up the street back to my friend's house and I blacked out. Like, I don't remember ever getting to the house. I don't remember going in the house. Oh, sorry, the trailer. Sorry, the trailer. And then when I came back to, I was laying between two girls. Um, you know, they were my friends, and they were worried about me. And like, they were feeding me this sherbet ice cream. It was orange sherbet, actually. And I do not remember asking for it, but I said I did. And, the second time it happened, I had forgotten, like, what planet I was, who old I was, how old I was. Like, yeah. Um, Lord. But, anywho, also about that, around that time, there was another situation I wanted to discuss. Um, there was an altercation between me and my father. I was 20. It was dark one night. This was during the time that my mom had decided to leave him again, but like I said, my dad still allowed over to the house or whatever. But, particularly what was going on in this situation, I remember feeling kind of torn because, like, I didn't ultimately want my parents to get like divorced, right? I don't want them to separate, right? Um, you know, because like, who doesn't, what I'm saying? Who actually really wants their parents not to be together, be happy, right? But my mom just wasn't happy no more. Um, you know, there was one night before I go up with altercation. There was one night, that in the process of us moving out of the house that we had been living in with our dad at this point, my mom was going to go over there and sleep there because she hasn't fully moved out, right? We weren't fully moved out, and my dad wouldn't let her come into the house. And I don't know why. Like, a cousin of mine was there and my sister was there with my mom, and just he wouldn't let her come into the house. So they had to go to like the house my mom was going to be renting, that me and my sister was going to be living with her. um, there was that situation. And like, I remember like I came home to like the new house and I told my dad that he needed to leave because he's not going to talk to my mom like that. And so like, I feel like at this point, like the roles were like, like not divorced, the roles were reversed. Like, I'm the one who's sticking up for my mom now. And I noticed that like, as like after I turned 18, like when I noticed that he was doing like something domestic to my mom, I was like, that's not cool. Like, I would say something, right? And so, anywho, the night that we got into the physical altercation, I don't remember exactly why um, it all started, like exactly how it started, but like, I remember, I guess we got into it and he was gonna like throw my phone out the door. Like, this was like when iPhones 3s were like big, right? I had an iPhone 3S. And, that made me mad. And like, I seen him, like, it wasn't like push my sister, but like he kind of shoved her out the way and that like pissed me off. Like, You know, even though me and my former sister, that's what I call her now. And I'll tell y'all why about that, like, probably here in the documentary. Um, you know, but I was like, you know, don't push her. Like, you know, like, and so, like, I remember, like, I was in his face and then, like, actually swung on him. Like, I have never swung on anybody in my life, guys. Like, the first, like, being the first to throw the punch, right? Well, in their face wise, right? So, anywho, you know, my dad didn't hit me back, but I think he didn't want to fight me because, like, I was his kid. But, like, he was saying, like, bye to take me down in the car. And, like, I, like, kicked his car and, like, I was so mad. And then, like, later on that night, I had, like, a friend of mine, Seth, you know, I'm talking to you, but we went and, like, oh my God, like, I had Seth take me to his house and, like, you know, we, like, put mustard on his car. You know, my dad didn't call the cops. And like I said, my dad's not living anymore. So, guys, yeah, my dad knew it was me. He doesn't know that my friend, you know, took me there and whatever. But, like, my dad knew it was me. I said, come on. I was like, if he doesn't get him, call the cops. So I didn't do it no more. But I was just mad that night. And I just wished I wouldn't have brought my friend. And then I shouldn't have done that. That was not mature. And it was a very stupid thing to do. Don't do that. Anywho, so, like I said, by 2012, I transferred from Lindsey Wilson College to WKU, which is Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green. My grades kind of got a little better, but I'm still partying. I start around 2013. I start thinking, you know, I think I have a problem with drugs and I don't need to get high, right? And I would, when I would talk to my friends about this, they were like, well, you just smoke weed, really? You know, but like mental illness, guys, like, this needs to be talked about more. When you have mental illness, especially as bad as mine, you don't need to be doing drugs. You don't need to be drinking. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, take care of yourself. Like, we need to talk about mental health seriously more. But anywho, like, so I start trying to get clean at this point, you know, but I can't seem to stay clean. Like, you know, I would get like maybe a week or two relapse. At one time, I had 6 months relapsed, 4 months relapse, right? Um, so I'm living in Bowling Green, like I said, at this point now, going to school. My grades start failing again because, like I said, I relapse, can't stay off the drugs. And at the end of 2013, we find out that my mom's cancer is back and it's in the lower area of her body. Like, years ago, my mom had breast cancer and she beat it. I remember going to the Relay for Life events with my mom, and I never told mom, but I was like, I just wish I would have told her that. Like, I was so thankful she did that because, like, I was grateful that, you know, there was people here who lost their loved ones to cancer, their friends, their family, and like my mom survived it. So I was grateful for that. But like I said, my mom's cancer was back this time. You know, it had went down into her stomach. You know, so she went and had a surgery because like her stomach had got like bigger. You know, for those who remember my mom, like my mom was never like really that big. Um, but anywho's, like, so they go and remove, like, I guess it was a tumor out of her stomach, and they found out, you know, the cancer's back. So my mom had a very ovarian cancer, and that affected me a lot. My mom was dead by April 21st, 2014, the day after Easter. You know, that was a really hard time for me because, like, I was closer to my mom than I was my dad. Because, like I said, my mom was the one who took care of me and my sister. You know, when my mom would leave my dad, try to leave or whatever, you know, we would go with her, you know, like I'm saying. Um, you know, so that affected me a lot. So, like, my using gets a lot more heavier. You know, I'm not doing anything like really heavy at this point. Like, at this point, like, you know, I haven't been smoking spice because people are at this point have become more aware that spice is killing people. You know, they're not selling it in stores no more. So like I quit smoking spice. Like I said, I'm still drinking, doing pills, smoking weed, not taking care of my mental health, you know, not really in any therapy, you know. Um, I don't think there's any abuse going on at this point with my cousin. There was a situation like, you know, that happened like in 2013. Um, But like around this time, my mom gets sick, there's no abuse going on, so thank goodness for that. But anywho, my mom passes away, you know, at the time she passed away, her and my sister were staying with like an aunt of mine, because the last house that we had with my dad, because my mom eventually moved back in with my dad, because like I said, that's what they do, you know, we get evicted because my dad doesn't tell anybody that, you know, he hasn't been giving any, you know, rent money to the landlord. And so, like, we get evicted while my mom has cancer. I think at that time, my mom wasn't really staying there because, like, you know, my aunt, my sister, my cousin were kind of like taking care of her at this point. But like, so the house is evicted, you know, so like, we're basically homeless now, right? Like, I basically wasn't actually staying there. Like I said, like, I'm in and out, right? Because I really don't want to be around, like, my dad or go around my mom, right? Because, like I said, you know, we have, like, a complicated history. So, anywho, mom dies, and I think my mom's death affected my dad and my sister a lot more than it did me, just because, like, you know, she was basically, like, the core of the family that kept us all together, right? You know, so some things happen before my mom's death and after that I just don't agree with to this day that were happening to me, you know, people not treating me right, you know. Um, so like I basically lose contact with people at this point. The drugs took me away, and you know, me not getting along with my father, and in some instances my mother, you know, kept me away from the family, right? And you know, like I said, at this point, like, you know, nobody knows that like this molestation stuff or me being manipulated into like sexual stuff, it is going on and off, right? So like I start to distance myself from the family. um so by 2014, I, you know, am not going to school at this point. Like my grades have gotten bad, so like I get suspended for like a semester or two. Um, you know, eventually I move back to Bowling Green, and you know I start working. And so I by 2015 I go back to school, but I eventually drop out because like I said, I'm on drugs. You know, mental health's not good, and you know I was staying with a cousin of mine, and like you know they just were, I don't know, just being like, it was just stupid. Like, I just don't know the way to describe it. They were being stupid. Like, because my family doesn't treat me right. So, like, I move out, and I was like, I don't want to I don't want to live with them no more. Like, I have nowhere else to go. Like, so I drop out of school. I moved to Tennessee. I'm still using down there. Tennessee doesn't work out, right? So by 2015, like, around the summer, I come back to Kentucky. Um, and so I am staying with a friend of mine from high school and his grandmother and his girlfriend. And, you know, I try to get clean again. And so this time, when I get clean, I start hearing voices that are telling me to hurt people. Um, I have struggled with seeing things since I was 12, and like now I'm starting to hear voices. And like I said, I think that's because like I, you know, was doing drugs, and like I had mental health problems, and you know I wasn't taking care of the mental health, right? You know, the pot, you know, was no longer there, you know, pills, alcohol, or anything. So like, you know, of course you don't want to have like side effects or whatever. But I'm moving my hands a lot. Sorry guys. But you know, so I eventually I go from my friend's house and go stay with like the family's, his girlfriend's family, because I'm kind of friends with her at this point. Um, you know, I need to discuss like that whole messed up situation. Like, I need to make a love life video because like there was like a love affair that I'm gonna discuss in like a separate video, I guess, or whatever. But anywho, guys. So 2015, I go to rehab for the first time. I go to the hospital and tell them like I'm hearing voices, like, you know, so they put me in the hospital, and then like they send me to rehab to you know, get better, right? And so, like, I'm introduced to Narcotics Anonymous. You know, I knew about AA because AA was in, like, my hometown, and I knew, like, people who went to AA, but I personally never really, you know, got into AA until 2015. through recovery, I stayed clean for 2 years and I relapsed in 2017. The reason why I relapsed in 2017 is like I start getting molested and manipulated into doing things with my cousin. Again, he came into like recovery, the NA groups, and I started sponsoring him, which I don't suggest you sponsor people prior to recovery, right? But like that whole messed up, complicated, controversial, like whatever it is that like I was, like I said, I was manipulated to be in, like I found myself involved in, starts up again. I have resentments. I am not doing my step work. I'm not, going to meetings, so I relapse. And it is around the beginning of 2018, I get drunk one night and I tell, some like my cousin and his wife that like, I've been molested or raped or whatever. And, the next day, like the wife asked me, like, was so and so the one doing these things to you? And I was like, yeah, and it's still going on. This time I wasn't drunk. And so, in that situation, eventually like sorry guys. I was living with my cousin that had been doing these sexual things to me and manipulating me to do sexual things. He was on and off since I was 8. Now I'm 27, guys. We're in 2017. And I remember there was, one time, after we got done doing whatever, he said if I turned away, he'd kill me. And the reason why I don't like cocaine is because one night when we got home and like we had done cocaine, I've never done cocaine before, but we did something that night. And like at this point, I know that if I don't do it, he's going to force himself on me, right? So like I have to give in because like I said, at this point, like I'm 27, like I've been in recovery. I'm more aware now of what's going on, like I'm finally starting to mature, guys. Like, what I'm saying? I finally am starting to have a voice. I'm finally starting to like get like an adult mind, like I'm not naive no more. Like you can't, try to manipulate this anymore, right? So they moved me out of there, but then like they start treating me like shit. And eventually like that side of the family, like basically I'm not allowed at any other houses. Like I get kicked out of this house. Like even after like I got 2 jobs and like I spent my food stamps to put food in their house and whatever. I am now homeless again. How I feel about it is they were trying to protect the pedophile, the person who did these things to me. It's no, once again, no one's protecting me. No one's there for me. My dad, they told my dad what was going on, and my dad said, I can't help him. My dad didn't try to talk to me about what was going on, what happened, and so like I felt like I was 15 again. Like when mom didn't do anything, guys, dad's now not trying to do anything. And at this point I'm done with my family. I'm done. So I am homeless, and then like 2018 I have been staying with different people, and I decided to go back to rehab again. Try to get clean once again. So 2018 to 2021, I stayed clean for 3 years, and I relapsed again. The reason why I relapsed in 2021 was I just basically was bored, guys. I was bored. Once again, I'm not going to meetings. I'm hanging out with people who are using, so I relapse. And there was also some things going on prior to that relapse, like at least like, yeah, like I haven't dealt with my sexual problems by this time. I had a very sexual, addiction problem. I am trying to pay people for sex. I was introduced to Grindr when I was 23 in 2013. I can't stay off Grindr. I'm using the sex, like I said earlier, like to mask my pain, to deal with the loneliness, right? Like, and there was a situation with a guy that I tried to offer him money and he tried to blackmail me if I didn't pay him money. So I told him, like, do whatever it is you want to do. I have nothing to hide. And, he puts it on Facebook. And, he doesn't tell people that, he tried to blackmail me. And, when I'm not trying to belittle what I did, I say he wasn't wrong. But after that situation, I was like, I need to do something about like my sexual trauma, because what it all stems back to, you guys, is like me being introduced to sex in an unhealthy way from an early age, and it's never been really addressed. Nothing was ever really done about it. And I was like the only one that was really, trying on and off to like talk through it, or like try to mask it with drugs, sex, right? So I start going to therapy, and you know, and the therapy has helped me out so much, guys. I don't use social media anymore because of that situation. Because I don't want to try to hook up with people, or I don't want people in my past to try to find me. I don't use any hookup apps. Like, I don't look at porn no more. I've stopped masturbating. And now after a situation last night at work, I don't even want to go to strip clubs, man or woman. But anywho, like, I keep finding myself around like toxic people that I've met in recovery that aren't really doing things right. Like, people are, having like similar problems that I am. And like, I heard someone say this in a meeting. If I'm trying to get better, then like, I don't need to be hanging out with people who got the same problem that I have and they're not trying to do anything about it. Real talk right there. So, anywho, I start feeling suicidal around 2021 last year. And I find myself in a situation where I have, got a house and I'm living with other addicts. At this point, I'm basically, like I said, I'm cut off from people. Like, people, like I said, they're showing their true colors. They're not my friends, right? My dad at this point, guys, I didn't say this. I probably should have said this in the video earlier, but my dad at this point had passed away. My dad was found dead on February 1st, 2019. I only had 8 months clean at the time. And me and my dad had not spoken, basically. The last time I saw my dad was when I had first gotten out of rehab in 2018. I had like 60 days clean, and like I seen him at like at my uncle's house, because I was walking by. I didn't know my uncle was there, right? Because like I said, I like quit talking to like my family at this point. They came up and hugged me, but I didn't even hug them, because like I said, like from where I was there, nobody did anything about like me being abused by my cousin, and like wasn't really trying to talk to me. I didn't hug them. And like the last conversation I had with my dad, because like I gave him my number and I had his number, I was like, I want to talk to you about the sexual abuse. And he was like, okay, I'll come up there and see you. And like, I waited for that day. That day came. My dad didn't call me. He didn't come up. So I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm tired of trying to mend or build this relationship with this man. He is not wanting to put in the work. So why in the hell should I? Right? And there was, like I said, a couple of times, throughout the years, like especially the last 3 years that he was living when I was in recovery, I tried to like build that relationship with him. Like I would offer him to like, come see me, and just like, it was just limited, I remember there was one day, like I think it was 2016, I cooked breakfast for my dad, and like I was wanting him to spend time with me for Christmas, and like my dad came, he was back there like maybe an hour, and then he left. He didn't really eat any of the food I cooked, and like that really hurt my feelings. I just want you to be a dad. Like I'm trying to like get past all this, bad history, by all these bad memories of you. And just like I said, just my dad just didn't know how to be, an actual father. And my dad was sick. I'm not making excuses for my dad, but my dad was an alcoholic, and like I think my dad also had like mental health problems. But like I think I don't think he was ever diagnosed, to the best of my knowledge. But like I think like he was definitely an individual who needed recovery. He needed therapy. Um, my dad, he died at 60. They said it was natural causes, so it was probably a heart attack or something. You know, my dad was told like years ago that he needed to quit smoking, and he never quit smoking. You know, and then he, like I said, he would drink, smoke weed, and you know, I'm not for sure if it's true or not, but like there was a rumor that was going around that my dad was doing crack at one point. Um, like during the time, like shortly before my mom died. Um, but it is what it is, right? I love my mom and my dad. I'm not going to say that I had the best parents in the world, but at the same time, I can't say I had the worst parents in the world. And I know that's crazy, like all this crazy things I had went through with them. You know, I wasn't the perfect son either. Like I had my own demons and whatnot. But like, you know, I can honestly say my parents never molested me. You know, they never raped me. You know, I was never spanked. You know, aside from the one instance with my father in the 8th grade, I was never, and then like this, like that, like when I was 17, you know, I was never really, I don't know, just, I do have some good memories and some good times that I can make another video about with my parents and whatever. As far as my sister goes, and I do want to like address that before the video goes. Me and my sister do not speak. I call her my former sister. She's just not a good person. She's a liar, you know. She has like some boyfriend or whatever who's not good for her. Like, you know, my family still tries to like mask like my abuse when they see me. They like try to like show me like my abuser's baby. Like, I don't want to see my abuser's baby. I don't care about that. You know, they try to act like, you know, all that didn't happen. And I have to separate myself from people because they're toxic. They don't have my best interest at heart. And I know when I'm above, and I'm above the BS, and I can't suffer anymore. I will not, because it almost killed me. I almost tried to kill myself at the end of 2021. And currently right now I'm in Nashville. You know, when I tried to kill myself, I only had 9 days clean. And, you know, holidays are always hard for me, right? Because I don't have any family that I spend my holidays with really anymore. I no longer speak to any of my family. I need to make another video about the suicide, but currently right now I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I have a little over 60 days clean. I'm taking my medication every day to deal with my mental health. I'm going to therapy every week to deal with my mental health, to deal with my abuse, to become a better person, because I want peace and serenity in my life. I need to be loved and celebrated, not tolerated and misjudged. You know, I need to be me for once in my life. I need to be healthy. I need to respect people's healthy boundaries. I need people to respect my healthy boundaries. And I'm learning that, guys. At 31 years old, I'm still trying to grow up. I do not miss Kentucky. I don't want to move back to Kentucky. South Central Kentucky, I guess more so say, because to me, those were, that area is just hell on earth as far as I'm concerned. For me, it was. You know, to the friend that like I did that to, that the whole situation with the social media thing, he's no longer living. He passed away. He OD'd and died near the end of last year, 2021. And if you can hear me, bro, Adam, I'm sorry, wherever you are, and I hope that you forgive me, and I forgive you for trying to blackmail me. I know you were sick too. I know you had your own sexual problems too. There was more to the story that you wasn't saying. And I accept my part for that, and I apologize. And I do want people to know that I'm not a predator. I'm not. When I saw that, when I realized that, I immediately snapped out of it. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm trying to mask my pain with sex, drugs. What am I doing? You know, I've never molested a kid. I've been involved with people who are younger, but, you know, that's when I was like young, like, now I'm not messing around with anyone who's under 18. Like, what? No. Like, you know, back then it was like, you know, they're just a couple years older than me, you know. I'm sorry, I'm just a couple years older than them. Sorry. You know, but I am living a celibate lifestyle. I don't see myself dating or having sex ever again. I do not masturbate. And like I said, I do not watch porn. I do not go to strip clubs. I am done with anything sexual because sex is why I am in the situation that I'm in now. I'm sorry, or I'm in the city I'm in now. I don't want to live like that anymore. I'm not going to become like my cousin or any of these people who, like R. Kelly or Bill Cosby. That's not me, and I want people to know that. I'm not a predator. You know, I have a good heart. You know, I always try to do right by people. Sometimes I do mess up, but you know, I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. That's not me. I'm not a rapist. I'm not a molester. You know, a child can come around me and, you know, anybody will tell you that their child will be safe around me. You know, anyone can come around me today and they'll know that they'll be safe around me. I try not to do anything that, you know, would be viewed as like inappropriate or, you know, so that make people feel uncomfortable. That's just not the person that I am. And I know this because I know who I am. I know what's in my heart. I know what's been on my mind. And like I said, I'm dealing with it. So you can kiss my ass if you think any differently. But anywho, guys, the video time is almost up. Thank you so much. This is part 4 of The Man in the Dark. Thank you guys so much for this 4-part documentary. Hope you got something from my story, and I hope that, you know, I've helped someone. God bless. Love you all. Have a great day. Peace out.